Research says that the first 20 minutes after we wake up is when our brain is most vulnerable. Unfortunately, that's the time of the day where we're often checking our phone, checking our emails, scrolling social media, and not really leveraging the power of that time. And so today, what I want to dive in and talk about is how you can utilize your morning routine to work in your favor. Over the years, I have learned the power of having a strong morning routine. And when I don't dig into my routine, I notice that throughout my entire day. And so let's dive in and talk about what my routine looks like so that you can get those wheels spinning to create a routine that aligns with your life. The first thing I do before my feet ever even touch the ground is I pray. Because here's the truth. It is such a blessing to see another day. And that also means that you're called to do something, right? If things were over for you, you wouldn't be here. So the fact that you woke up this morning is a blessing. And so I use my time to pray and connect with God, but I also use that time to list out my gratitude. My pastor once asked me, if you only woke up today with the things that you thanked God for yesterday, what would you wake up with? There are so many things that we often overlook because we're just going on with the day-to-day responsibilities and requirements that we overlook the things that we are called to be grateful for. So I use my prayer time to connect with God as well as to list out the things that I'm really grateful for. The next thing that I do is I drink water. So actually this is part of my habits throughout the day, but I also do it first thing in the morning. I always keep a water bottle or a water jug right next to my bed and I try to drink. There's research that says drinking water first thing in the morning speeds up your metabolism, but more importantly, drinking water throughout the day gives you the energy that you need to show up for the tasks that you're called to complete that day. The next thing that I do every single morning is emotional freedom techniques, also known as tapping. EFT is really powerful because it helps you to restore and balance your energy. And for me, this is a great grounding practice to get me going, to get my day started. And the good news is if I forget it first thing in the morning, you have your fingers wherever you need and you can actually dive in and do it wherever. There's been times I've done it in a work parking lot. There's been times that I've done it pulling out of, the pickup line or drop off line at my daughter's school. There's been time I've done it outside of the grocery store. But the great thing is you can tune in to tapping whenever you need it. And not to mention, tapping allows me to feel super high vibe and get my energy ready for the day ahead. The next part of my routine is planning. I've learned that if it doesn't work on paper, it won't work in reality. So for me, one of the things that I do is I plan every single evening before I wake up. I plan the most important tasks that I need to accomplish the next day. And the next morning when I wake up, I look over my plan to review it. This helps me to stay focused because if I just kind of think I have the whole day ahead of me or I forget what's on my plan, my day's going to go to crap. And so it's important for me to be able to reference what it is that I'm working towards and keep that in the forefront of my mind at all times throughout that entire day. I have truly mastered through planning and strategic planning the art of being proactive and less reactive, and it's changed the game for me. So whether you're using a physical planner, a digital planner, or whatever it may be, a checklist, a to-do list, whatever it may be, make sure you incorporate planning into your routine. The next two things actually go hand in hand, and it's motivation and moving my body. So let's start with motivation. I'm a lifelong learner. So this deep desire of mine to keep learning is something that I have prioritized. So every morning I pick a podcast episode, I pick a training in one of my course portals, I pick a YouTube video or a blog or something that is going to allow me to learn something new. And as I'm listening to this podcast episode or this YouTube video, or sometimes reading on my recumbent bike, I will add in opportunities and times to move my body. So this may look like me going on a walk and listening to a podcast episode. This may look like me getting on my recumbent bike and reading a blog post or reading a book that I'm really, loving. This may look like me doing some yoga while listening to a course portal module. The reason that I love this is because it allows me to learn as well as it allows me to move my body. Being diagnosed with anxiety at a young age was something that I always struggled with, something that I felt embarrassed about, and something that I felt like was taking over my life. But as I've learned to be more strategic about the way that I move my body, I have also noticed a significant change in the way that my anxiety manifests. Research says that when you move your body, you create natural highs, natural feel-goods, natural endorphins that lift you up, and it's almost like a medication in of itself. And so moving my body is a non-negotiable every single day. Now, with that said, I don't force myself to do some strenuous workout where I'm working out for 2 hours every single day or burning a certain number of calories. I used to buy into this arbitrary goal of I had to sweat this amount or I had to burn this number of calories, or if I didn't sweat, it wasn't working, or whatever it may be. And now I tune into my body and I ask myself, what does my body need? Sometimes that does look like a crazy insanity workout. Sometimes that does look like me riding my recumbent bike and checking emails, and that's called my lazy workout. Sometimes it looks like me moving my body through walking. Sometimes it looks like me moving my body through yoga and something more slower paced. Whatever it is, it's okay. I'm just committed to stretching and moving my body because I recognize the value and the power of it. Finally, the last thing that I'm committed to every single morning is eating. I'm not some health coach freak. In fact, my diet is not really where it should be. But one thing that's a non-negotiable for me is making sure that I eat breakfast. Because if you think of the word in of itself, it actually stands for breaking the fast. We go an extended period of time with no eating. And because of that, our body goes into almost starvation mode and tries to hold on to all of our food. When you don't eat, your body doesn't have the energy that it needs to actually effectively get through the day. And so for me, I ensure that not only am I eating, but I'm eating the things that are actually going to give me the energy that I need to show up fully for the day ahead. I've also learned that when you eat your breakfast in the morning, it kickstarts your metabolism and it encourages healthier eating throughout the day. So when I eat my breakfast, I'm less likely to go for sweets or even snacks or anything like that. And so I have made that a non-negotiable in my routine. Now, obviously, there's a million more things that happen in my morning, such as brushing my teeth, getting dressed, driving to wherever I need to go, getting my kids dressed, all of the things. But what I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about the routine that serves my success, the routine that gives me the energy to show up the way that I'm able to show up in my business as well as in my personal life. Because I think it's so important that we all identify the things that work for us and to create routines that are ultimately going to serve our success. Now, while it may sound like a lot of different things that go into my morning routine, the one thing that I have learned to do is make this process seamless. For example, some of these different tasks overlap with each other, like praying and gratitude go together, as well as learning and moving my body go together. So some of these things I've created almost like a sequence to where my brain just knows to go in a certain order. And the more that you practice it, the more you begin to instill these habits into your day-to-day life. And not to mention, the more you practice it, the more you get into that routine, that rhythm, and that flow, and you get to create a routine that works for you. It's so powerful. So what I challenge you to do today is I challenge you to take some time to reflect on what we talked about. And I want you to think about, do you have a routine that's working for you? And if not, what can you do to create one? If you are looking for more tools to get started on creating an evening routine, because that also determines your morning routine and the success you have the day ahead, definitely use the link below where you can get access to my book, Devoted Dreamers. And here you're going to learn about the tools and the strategies that you can leverage and use to create a routine that helps you to set yourself up for success. So have an amazing day.